Still no Switch 2 pre-orders. Don't worry, you didn't miss it. Hopefully those are coming soon, but we got good news today as we get more confirmation from analysts that, hey, things are in the clear and Nintendo, their thoughts on the price, feeling pretty positive about it. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Twitch fans. Also a very interesting article about Nintendo Switch 2 and how the price actually affects Nintendo, and I think you're going to feel better about the price of the console. We can debate Mario Kart endlessly. The console, though, I think you'll feel better after watching this video. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you enjoy these videos and are glad that, hey, the Switch 2 is going to be $450. That's what I want to start off with. The analysts expect Nintendo Switch 2 to stay at $450. Like I told y'all yesterday, it would be a crime, and there's no excuse if they raise the price. We will throw our arms up at that point. But Bernstein analyst Robin Zhu says that, hey, Switch 2 pricing should remain the same so long as the 10% tariffs stay. That means the Switch 2 will be priced at $450 for the base and $500 for the Mario Kart World bundle. If you missed yesterday's video, the US put a 90-day pause on tariffs. They're back down to 10%, and that should allow Nintendo to launch this system peacefully. They've already shipped a bunch of consoles to the United States. They changed their operations from China mainly to Vietnam to try and avoid the Chinese tariffs, which are still insanely high. And then when they put the extra tariff on Vietnam, it threw the pre-orders into a big just cluster, right? And now those tariffs have been paused for at least 90 days, and hopefully they keep them at that lower rate. Now, it is interesting because Zhu goes on to say that if those tariffs return to Vietnam, the ones that they had in place just a few days ago, they would expect the Switch 2 price to go up between $50 and $100. So that would put it at $500 for the base or $550 for the base, and thereby $550 for Mario Kart bundle or $600 for the Mario Kart bundle. Nobody wants to see that. The best news is, though, $450 is where it's going to be at launch, and I think that's most important, as hopefully a lot of people can get the console, and hopefully Nintendo can start to see sales and not be inclined to raise the price, and hopefully these tariffs do not cause any impact. Like I mentioned, the Mario Kart World price, whatever you want to think about it, but I found this very interesting about the Switch 2 price itself. The Switch 2 is going to be sold at a loss. A major analyst, Hideki Yasuda from Tokyo Securities, said the loss is something Nintendo would be able to absorb, but they will be taking a loss because of higher manufacturing costs and because the new chip alone is almost double what the original Switch 1 chip cost. They're saying that the Switch 2 costs about $400 to produce, just the materials, and then they're going to have to ship it. They're going to have to sell it to retailers. They're going to take their cut. So that's where you get the $450 price, and Nintendo is taking a loss. Now, I already felt that the Switch 2 price was pretty fair based on this system being a substantial improvement over Switch 1 and being something that was the upgrade we asked for, right? Nintendo actually just listened and delivered. Now, some people were still really bothered by the Switch 2 price, but now knowing that Nintendo is taking it at a loss, the idea that they're greedy on the hardware side has to go out the window, right? You're getting a very strong system. You're getting a system that is less than like a ROG Ally. You're getting a system that can do what you want it to do, that's able to play these third-party type games at a great frame rate, that has a really nice high refresh rate. You're getting a system that also Nintendo is going to take a loss on. Nintendo typically does not like to take a loss. They like to typically sell everything for a gain or break even. Who doesn't? But Microsoft and Sony are known to take losses on their hardware and then make it up on the game side, right? So Nintendo did take a loss of the Wii U, so they're not a stranger to this. But given that they're in a position of strength, they easily could have charged $500 for this, right? They easily could have said, hey, the cost to us is going to be $400 some. We're going to charge $500 so we make money on every system. And they could have said, hey, we know people are going to buy it. And they would have, right? People would buy the Switch 2 at $500, even though they'd hem and haw and be upset. But I think Nintendo actually did a really nice thing here and a really good thing. And they said, you know what? $450 feels like the better price. We still want to undercut some of the other consoles. And if we need to take a little loss, we'll take a little loss because then they're going to make it up on games. And that's where the Mario Kart World price comes in. I made a big video yesterday talking all about the hidden features of Mario Kart World and what Nintendo is hiding as we wait for the next Nintendo Direct next week. So you can check that out. I think they will justify Mario Kart World's price much more. I think Nintendo has been very slow to justify it. They've been very slow on their rollout of information, but that's kind of the way they work with their games. They're like, introduction, sit with it. And then they give you the important details at a later date, which is going to be next Thursday for that Mario Kart World Direct, which of course will be live streaming. But how do you feel about the Switch 2 being sold at a loss? Does that ease your concern over the $450 price? It does for me. I already felt like the system was priced pretty fairly, and now I feel it's definitely priced fairly. Now, Mario Kart, you may think, hey, I'm going to get it for $50, so it's not too bad. I definitely think that bundle is the way to go. There's been reports popping up of Mario Kart World being physically available in the Mario Kart Nintendo Switch 2 bundle. And I gotta tell you, be careful with this, okay? Yes, Mario Kart World is physical in some Nintendo Switch 2 bundles for the same price as those with the download code. But this is not a case of Willy Wonka, where Nintendo is magically tossing in a cartridge into a few boxes for some lucky buyers. It's only in locations where there's no eShop. So there'd be no way for them to actually download the game. So you will see pictures of a Nintendo Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World physically in the system. Do not be fooled. For almost all of my viewers, you will be getting Mario Kart World digitally. Now, personally, I think that's A-okay. I still think the $30 savings is well worth getting a code instead of a cart. But in Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines, they will be getting a physical cartridge copy of Mario Kart World because there is no eShop in those regions. Now, could they have done this for everywhere? They could have, but it would have been more to put that cartridge in there. It would have been more to put that case in there. It's a small cost, but hey, would you rather pay, well, this is going to differ person by person. Would you rather pay $500 and get the code, or pay $515 and get the cart? But there's some people that said, hey, I'll split the difference. Instead of paying $80, I'll pay $65 and get the cart. It would be nice if Nintendo offered you an option like that, but they're not going to. They want the $500 price. That's a nice even price. $515 is a really weird thing to advertise at Walmart. $500, $499.99. That looks good on a store shelf. You're going to get the Mario Kart World game as a download code, and I think it will be okay. I think that's a game you're going to want to have constantly available to play. Save the cards for something else, and also at the end of the day, it's a $30 savings. I don't think that can be ignored. I don't know. Do what you want, but I don't think $30 is worth a cart at all. I think, the red card is nice. Mario Kart World has a beautiful cover. Playing the game is way more fun, and that $30 can then go towards another game, another controller, or towards the console, basically, right? You can view it like, oh, I'm getting Mario Kart and then saving $30 off the console. I think this is A-okay, but you will see this pop up, and yes, it's true, Mario Kart World is available physically with the Switch 2, but 99% is not available in your region. Shout out to those of you who are going to get it physical, but you don't have an eShop, which is really sucky. And then also, this system isn't even releasing June 5th in Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, or Philippines. So it's June 5th in Saudi Arabia, but those other regions, it's Q3. That's a nebulous date that could be August, could be September, could be, I guess, end of July. It just depends. Probably different dates for different regions and how things all shake out. When will these pre-orders take place? I've seen some people suggesting that, hey, Nintendo is going to open them up next week after the Mario Kart World Direct. I don't know that it's going to tie in that way at all. At this point, though, it does seem like it'll be next week because we're coming up on the end of Thursday and Nintendo's got Friday. They're not going to make announcements on Saturday or Sunday, and stores typically aren't going to make big announcements on the weekend either. Maybe they do tie it into the Mario Kart Direct because then it's a way to get it out there to people that are very hardcore, but they could just as easily announce it on Monday for Tuesday, and then it's coming at that point. I don't think you have to worry about the weekend. I think at this point, I thought they'd just be ready to go. I thought they'd get us going. I thought stores want to get their money, but Nintendo is obviously taking their time with this. Maybe they're just still waiting and making an official decision, but like I've told you, there's no world in which they should charge a penny more than the $450. They're taking a loss. They knew what it was going to be before the tariffs. That's what they priced it at. If they do raise the price, it would be them taking advantage of us and taking advantage of the situation, and I really hope they don't do that. I don't think that they will. I think $450 is where you're going to be, and I think it's going to be probably at this point launch like Tuesday. I don't know if they need to wait for the Mario Kart World Direct, but I'm definitely waiting for the Mario Kart World Direct. I'm very excited for that. I think that is going to expand the game and make it seem like it's at least 1.5 times the game than it already is by introducing some awesome things like a more single-player story mode, like a really intense competitive battle mode that has good online options, and maybe they'll tease DLC, but I doubt the tease of DLC. I think it's more about just showing like, dude, This game has durability. It's got repeatability. Those are the words Doug Bowser used. He wants to make sure that you know, hey, I'm paying $80 for this game. I'm getting something that's durable. A card is more durable than a code. Or is a code the most durable because it cannot be broken? It can only be broken if Nintendo severs the connection with you and eliminates your account or eliminates the servers, which won't happen for a long time. We can worry about that when we're old and gray. For now, we'll just enjoy the fact that the Switch 2 is not going to raise in price, and we'll enjoy the fact that, hey, they're selling it at a loss, which is a weird thing to feel good about, but I feel good about it. I think you should feel good about it as well. You know Nintendo isn't milking you on the console. TBD on the game. So until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying your days out there. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive. And until next time, SwitchForce out.